Today's project is Saturday, late February. You can see the flags where the surveyor marked this corner of the property. He flagged the entire north line, and I went through the woods with the chainsaw and found those that had been overgrown because it had been a couple years. I found those and flagged those off and put metal T-posts in. This east line, I don't know if it's marked very well. The neighbor's property is starts right here, but their home side is way up there, and this is a real steep hillside going up that way, and this is not usable land. My home side is a couple hundred feet that way, and this is not very usable land, and I don't know if they bothered to survey this much. They did mark these corners. I do know it goes up that way. I'm going to be searching for it. I have Land Glide on my phone, which is going to keep me generally in the right spot. You can see it's marked right there where I'm right on the property line. So I will be using Land Glide. This is obviously not official surveying equipment, so I'm not putting anything permanent in. I will be carrying PVC pipes up the hill with me because one, they're lighter, two, they don't rot out, so I can stick them in the ground. I'll put some orange flags on them and we can find them. And if I cut a chainsaw trail on the line, the deer will probably keep using that trail and it'll keep a trail open. If I find the official surveying lines, I'll mark it and come back and put metal T-posts in and keep it cleared out that way. But although this is not going to be the official line, I do intend to get my excavator out here this summer and create trails for my campground where people can walk even on the steep side. And I need to know, at least within a few feet of where the property line is so I can stay off of my neighbor's property and stay on mine. So I'm going to do it. This is the time of the year because it's late February. All the leaves are down, so when you do find a point that you know is right and you can mark it, you can get a sight line. If you've been here in Western Washington late summer, you can't get through the brush, you can't hike through the woods. Blackberries are grown up, ferns, everything. It's just a mess. Before we bought the property, we were trying to check it out in the summer, and the blackberry vines anywhere, it wasn't developed, or the road cut in, it was like 10 feet high, and you couldn't hardly walk through at all. But we had a foot of snow about a month ago, and that foot of snow pushes the blackberry vines down, so you can scramble over it or cut it off with the chainsaw while you're down there. I brought the small chainsaw today, so I'm going to be running up and down this hill trying to find the property line, at least approximate. I know where the corner is, and I know the entire north line, so I'll be aiming for that corner. This is one of those days that I really appreciate having my Carhartt jacket. I'm probably going to, even though it's a cooler day, I'm going to be sweating climbing up and down this hill with a chainsaw, but the Carhartt jacket and pants are going to do a world of good. And this hat is normally considered to keep the sun and the rain off, this thick leather hat, but I'll tell you what, when you're cutting through blackberry vines that are over your head and everything, and they're falling down, and you have a brimmed hat on, and it just catches on the hat and then falls off instead of catching on your scalp that doesn't have as much hair as it used to, that's not fun. But a leather brimmed hat when you're cutting through the brush, honestly, this is an amazing piece of equipment to have. My wife asked me this morning, hey, I'm going for a run today. We like to jog together. You want to go for a run with me today? Nope. I've got my exercise for today all planned out. I got a lot of work to do here today. Once we get over this initial really steep bank, then it levels off. Well, nothing levels off, but it's a lot more gradual slope, and the blackberries aren't as thick. This is the type of thing that angers me. I didn't put the oil cap on tight on my chainsaw, so I just got up through this steep hill and the thick brush. And if I want to keep using my chainsaw, which I do, I've got to run back down to the truck and get the oil, or take the chainsaw. I'm just going to go grab the oil bucket and bring it up here. Easier than running up and down with a chainsaw. And I'm going to go grab the chainsaw tool because every now and then, working through this type of stuff, your chain pops off. If you can't put it back on, then you make yourself mad. So going to get the oil and the chainsaw tool. Professional homeowner trailblazing tip number 1. When you have a vine maple or alder like this, that there's several trunks growing up all in the same place, and you just stick your chainsaw in there and start poking around, knocking everything down, this is the type of thing that tends to grab your chain and throw your chain off. And if you're 100 feet elevation above your truck through the brush, you don't want to run down to go get your tool, and you don't want to be putting it back on. So when you're just cutting through this mess of stuff, be careful not to be torquing on your chain and pulling it off. Don't yank my chain. Professional landowner tip number 2. If you're cutting really flexible, wispy little trees like this, or blackberry bushes, or nettles, or things that are not firm, like when you put it into a tree, the tree's solid and you're just cutting sawdust out. If you are cutting something very fine and wispy like this, the chain is going to pull it. Okay, and if you cut it with the normal part of the chain on the bottom of the saw, it's pulling it back towards you. If you cut it with the top of the bar, the chain is going away from you and it pushes away as it cuts instead of pulling it towards you. So these wispy branches will get caught on the chain, and if it's on the bottom of the bar, pulls towards you and slap you in the face. And if you use the top of the bar, it'll push them away from you and you're not going to get smacked. How do I know, you might ask? Well, this face has taken a beating over the years, and I've gotten smarter. Use the top of the bar. No whip in the face that time. Okay, I'm up on top of the steep bank right now. My property line approximately goes right through that maple. This is the neighbors over this way, and you can see it's a lot easier walking. They did a good job replanting. We got a lot of small dugs. I haven't even looked at this before. On my property here, you can see off in the distance is the bathroom that I'm working on building way over there. And so we're heading up that way. Starting to get my line. I haven't been using the PVC pipes as much because they've had so many fir trees planted here. I'm just flagging them at the time. This one's on the line. You can see the yellow, orange flag right there, and right on the front of my truck is another one. So we're starting to get the line. While I'm out here, being a tree guy, these trees that they planted are doing great, but the deer eat the top off when they're younger, and then they get these double trunks, and that's not going to give you a nice straight trunk. So while I'm out here, I'm going to take off the secondary trunk. This is tall enough now that the deer are not going to eat the top off, and that's going to grow up one straight trunk. This tree over here that's leaning, I'm going to clear off all the brush with my chainsaw here to help this stand back up. This one here also has a double trunk, so we're going to get rid of the second one, and now this is going to grow up to a nice beautiful timber tree. Working my way back down the hill, but you can see it's quite the slope, elevation change. Do have a nice view from over here. Okay, but this severity of slope is why the land was affordable. They did do a good job of replanting. A lot of Doug firs coming back up in here. There's the logging equipment or road building equipment that my neighbor has on my property right now to go up to his that way. Okay, this is the best perspective I've ever had on this property line. It has not flagged from corner to corner, but I am standing, I got up a steep knoll and then it goes back into a draw where there's a creek. There is the huge cedar tree. You can't see it through this hemlock very well on the camera, but I can see it here. There's this huge cedar tree that the surveyor, the public surveyor, flagged as the corner of our property, and I'm standing at a point that if I turn around, hopefully you can see it, the point of my truck, my red truck, where's it at? Hopefully you can see it on camera. I don't know if you can pick it up, but my red truck down there is parked with the point of the tip of the truck right on the corner post that the surveyor put down there. So I can see the line here, and I can see the line there. Now I need to string this out so that I can get the exact spot in between the two. So once I get this point, I can then flag this up so high so people can see it. I can see it, and then I can have a visual all the way down to my truck and mark that off that way. And then when we crest the hill that I'm standing on, we won't be able to see the other stuff from down there, but this spot flagged will also be able to see right through there, and I'll cut a trail through the brush, and I will have a fairly exact property line. So I haven't pounded in as many PVC pipes as I expected to. Going up the hill, I don't know if you can see the line on the camera here, but there's been enough trees and branches and whatnot that are in the exact straight line that I wanted. Right behind the camera here, there's a tree that's about 4 inches off from the line, but I didn't want to do that because I've got a true line going right now, and I want to keep it true. So I'm down a little lower here, so I'm going to have to knock this PVC pipe in and mark the line with that. Got the property line. Thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead here in the late winter while all the blackberry vines and leaves are knocked down. And so we have open sight lines to spot out the corner post and create a true property line for Spring Hill Campground. Come back and join us again as we further develop Spring Hill Campground and do some farming and gardening. Hope to see you again soon, everyone. Be blessed.